Good day to people of goodwill. It's my bounden duty to give a comprehensive look on 83 pages of draft EAA 2020. Under the Environment Protection Act 1986, India notified its first EAA norms in 1994, a legal framework for regulating activities that access, utilize, and affect natural resources. Every development project has been required to go through EAA process for obtaining prior environmental clearance ever since. The 1994 EAA notification was replaced with a modified draft in 2006. After 1.5 decades, the draft EAA notification 2020 is made to pacify corporate interests and meet their demands in the name of encouraging investment and facilitating ease of doing business. The draft EIA 2020 has been issued under Section 3 of the Environment Protection Act 1986. Far from satisfying the statutory requirement to protect and improve the environment, is on the contrary, the draft is designed to dilute existing protection through different means. The draft seeks to supersede not just EIA 2006 but also circumvent various rulings made by the National Green Tribunal and courts, including the Supreme Court. There is nothing in draft EIA 2020 which even recognizes, leave alone addresses these intensified threats to the environment through what mining workers refer to as slaughter mining. There are four main specific areas of concern in the changes brought about in draft EIA 2020. Firstly, recategorization of projects so as to exempt a wide range of projects from the scrutiny of appraisal committees and also from public consultation. Secondly, dilution and in some cases elimination of the process of public consultation. Thirdly, post facto legalization of violations by projects. Fourthly, number of exemption and benefits given to projects through various clauses. There are a number of clauses in the draft which are beneficial to project promoters but highly damaging to people's interests and the environment. For example, in clause 3.16, the definition of corporate environmental responsibility does not bind the amount to be paid and is be included as part of the project cost. In clause 5.7, there is extremely vague definition of strategic projects apart from defense and security projects which will not require either appraisal or public consultation. Any industry such as power generation or building private ports may be termed strategic and be exempted from environmental regulation. In addition, no information need to be placed in public domain. This draft promotes centralization of authority with the ministry. For example, clauses 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the constitution of important committees such as appointments to the expert appraisal committee at the central, state level and to the important technical committees. The ministry has the sole right of appointment and even in the cases of state level. Without a mandate for autonomy, these committees may well become rubber stamps for what the government wants approval. Equally, it must be ensured that these committees also have a more democratic social composition, such as inclusion of women, of members of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes who have the requisite qualifications. Clause 14. Public consultation. Draft EIA 2020 does grave injustice to the rights of people who will be adversely affected by projects. It is anti-democratic and unjust to exempt projects from public consultation, such as in clause 14.2, that's from A to G. The notification allows expansion up to 50% without any public consultation. Any expansion or modernization must be preceded by a public consultation. Clause 14.8, in which permission is given to scrap public hearing if the local situation warrants it. This gives the project proponent and the authorities a loophole to avoid public hearings which are inconvenient to their interest. Clause 14.9. A condition is put to access the EIA report through a written request to the regulatory authority who will make it available. Why should such conditions be imposed on access to a public document? The draft EIA report must not only be easily accessible without conditions, but also available at the block level. It should be also available in the language of the state. The time given for responses should not be cut to 20 days, but remain at a month or even extended to 60 days. There should be at least 2 public hearings with a gap of 2 weeks so that all affected will have an opportunity to attend. Once the final EIA report is prepared, it should be once again placed before a public hearing. The concerns of Adivasis, who are going to be the most affected community due to the dilution of environment regulations, do not form any part of the notification. The words Adivasi, Tribal, Gram Sabha, Forest Rights Act, 5th Schedule, 6th Schedule find no mention in the notification. There should be a separate procedure for consultation with Gram Sabha. Where Adivasi communities are directly affected, it is a question of getting concern, not just consultation. Clause 19.1. This is a peculiar clause, construction or installation phase, but includes mining leases and projects. In EIA 2006, prior environmental clearance was for a maximum period of 30 years project life. However, through this clause, the project life period as well as the prior environmental clearance is extended up to 50 years. It is nothing but a gift of natural resources to a private mining companies. Clause 20.5. This relates to an over-generous approach to projects. 3 years are given as the limit before the prior environment clearance or environment permission is revoked. Who do not submit annual complaints reports of conditions which is required by law? The company can get away with paying fine. The maximum time given should be 6 months, after which notice should be issued and steps for revocation should be taken. Clauses 22 and 23 dealing with violation cases. This entire clause is extraordinary in its sweep of helping out offenders and those who have illegally looted natural resources. Moreover, it does not recognize the right of local people or others in the no to report violations. This clause gives license for violators who can be assured that the violations will be condoned by paying a fine and they can continue with their activity with no fear of their license being revoked. Even those who violate the condition of obtaining prior environment clearance before starting the project will be left off with the fine. It is nothing but post facto legalization of all the illegal acts committed by the project promoters. Such post facto environment clearances have been repeatedly struck down by National Green Tribunal and Supreme Court as gross violations of the Environment Act. Clause 24.3b. This gives permission for cluster leaseholders to use the district mineral fund to supplement funds for implementation of EIA. In the general mining of minor minerals in tribal areas, preference should be given to tribals as far as grant of lease is concerned. However, there is no mention of this draft. The district mineral fund is meant specifically to address the huge development gaps of local communities in areas where mineral mining is allowed. Clause 25. This concerns the appeal, which can be made to the National Green Tribunal against any prior environment clearance or environment permission. Only 30 days is given for such an appeal. This should be extended to between 2 to 3 months. Now, under the existing 2006 law, projects are categorized into Category A and B, where all projects in Category A need not undergo the process of EIA. Category B projects are further classified to B1 and B2 category are exempted from the cumbersome process. Under Clause 26, recategorization of those projects for which prior environmental clearance is not required. While we fully support the exemption given to artisans and other local communities to freely access natural resources like sand, mud, timber, etc., for their own use, it is most unfortunate that 40 different types of industries like solar thermal power projects, solar parks, coal and non coal mineral prospecting, minor irrigation projects with a command area up to 2000 hectares are automatically exempted from the need for a prior environmental clearance. It is shocking that only projects of 50,000 to 1,50,000 square meters of built up area have to seek scrutiny by the appraisal committee. Construction projects of 20,000 to 50,000 square meter need not be assessed and are exempted from public hearing, while those below 20,000 square meter do not require prior environmental clearance or environment permission at all. The ministry had moved amendments to EIA 2006 to similarly exempt from appraisal of all projects of 50,000 to 1,50,000 square meter, which was struck down by the National Green Tribunal. The government went in appeal to the Supreme Court, which upheld the National Green Tribunal's decision. Another disgusting example is the recategorization of oil and gas exploration in B2. It would appear that just before the Bagajan oil field explosion in Assam, to avoid public consultation, such projects have been shifted to Category B2. Just to conclude, in the middle of several lockdowns, where people are being arrested for assembling, this process is bound to become unfair for local groups and communities who need to fully comprehend and respond to the draft EIA 2020. The draft notification is issued in keeping with the pro-business agenda of the central government in the name of development. People's interests and concerns of protection of the environment are not the concern of draft EIA 2020. In fact, it gives license for wrongdoing and violations. It is important to note that by virtue of Article 21 of our Indian Constitution, it's our fundamental and constitutional right to be a part of a democratic decision-making process. The Delhi High Court has clarified that the last day to send any objections to this draft notification is August 11, 2020. These objections will be then considered by the Union government before passing the notification. As responsible citizens, I request everyone to have the knowledge of draft EIA 2020 individually and as a community to raise our objection to this draft, which is pro-corporate and which fails to meet the norms and standards of basic environmental protection. Herewith, I am circulating the authorized mail addresses where our objections can be sent. Kindly educate as many as people around us, irrespective of our differences, and draft EIA 2020 and campaign against this draft and make sure that maximum number of mails reaches the Ministry of Environment before August 11, 2020 to withdraw draft EIA 2020. Further, with a note to redraft it, taking the opinion of all stakeholders, which would be in the interest of environment, people and the country. Thank you.